Breaking through attachments.
Let's begin by unraveling the master's first analogy, the water-purifying pearl. He likens bodhicitta to this mythical pearl able to clarify turbid water. Could you elaborate on how this relates to the purification of our mental vexations?
Certainly. The master draws a parallel between the water-purifying pearl and bodhicitta, aspiration for enlightenment and universal benefit. Just as the pearl or moringa seeds absorb impurities, bodhicitta helps settle and clear the muddy thought-sour attachments, anger, and confusion, restoring the mind's clarity.
That's a vivid image. The comparison with moringa seeds, sometimes called bodhisattva trees, is particularly apt, since they're scientifically proven to clarify water. How does this analogy deepen our understanding of the bodhisattva path?
Great question. Moringa seeds purify water by causing particles to clump and sink, leaving clean water behind. In the same way, a bodhisattva's compassion draws out the impurities, unwholesome tendencies from sentient beings. Unlike ordinary people who might exacerbate chaos, bodhisattvas transform situations for the better.
So, is the master suggesting that our vexations aren't inherently part of us, but rather layers that can be cleared away? How does this insight translate into practical steps for daily life?
Exactly. He encourages us to see vexations as labels we've acquired like mud in water, not intrinsic to the water itself. By cultivating bodhicitta, we can let these labels settle, regaining our natural mental clarity. Practically, it means pausing before reacting to negative emotions, recognizing they're transient, not our true self.
Building on purification, the master introduces the water-dwelling gem. He says bodhicitta enables us to remain stable, like a gem residing peacefully in water amidst the turbulent sea of samsara. How does this analogy help us understand mental resilience?
The water-dwelling gem represents an unwavering mind. In life, we're constantly tossed by waves, greed, anger, and disappointment. The master calls these flood beasts. With bodhicitta, our core intention acts as a buoy, keeping us afloat and unshaken, even when circumstances are overwhelming.
He also warns that not only negative things, but pleasurable pursuits like entertainment and comfort can be sources of vexation. Why is letting go of these attachments so challenging for most people?
Culturally, we've been conditioned to equate pleasure with happiness. The master points out that these are just habitual labels, not absolute truths. Letting go feels difficult because it challenges our ingrained belief systems. However, true stability arises from inner contentment, not external gratification.
That's a crucial distinction. Could you give an example of how someone might apply this teaching in a modern context, for instance, when facing social pressures?
Certainly. Imagine someone pressured to conform to trends for acceptance. Recognizing this as a wave and external force, they can ground themselves in bodhicitta, asking, does this serve my well-being or benefit others? By holding to their inner values, they remain stable like the gem in water.
Transitioning from stability to transcendence, the master presents the dragon pearl. He claims that with it, even the most insidious dragon snake's vexations in all realms cannot harm us. How does this relate to overcoming deeper forms of ignorance?
The dragon pearl symbolizes wisdom that penetrates beyond surface-level issues. In Buddhist cosmology, even in the formless realm where gross attachments are absent, there remains a subtle ignorance, the inability to see the true causes and conditions of phenomena. The master uses the story of Sariputta and Moggallana to illustrate this point.
That's the story where, despite their supernatural powers, they couldn't comprehend dependent origination until they heard it explained. What does this teach us about the limits of skill or experience without deep understanding?
It's a powerful reminder that abilities, no matter how advanced, cannot substitute for wisdom. Without understanding the interdependent nature of existence, we remain bound by subtle vexations. The analogy urges us to cultivate insight, seeing the root of problems, not just their outward appearances.
In practical terms, how can listeners develop this kind of penetrating wisdom in their everyday lives?
By questioning assumptions and examining the causes behind our reactions. For example, when we feel irritated, instead of blaming circumstances, we can ask, what belief or expectation is driving this? This reflective process gradually uncovers deeper layers of ignorance, much like the dragon pearl dispels hidden dangers.
Finally, the master uses the analogy of the Mani crown of Sakra Devendra to highlight the radiant vow of bodhicitta and the dangers of arrogance. What is the deeper significance of this crown eclipsing all other lights?
The Mani crown represents the luminous power of sincere aspiration. When someone embodies such a vow, it naturally outshines ordinary achievements, revealing the limitations of pride based on comparison. The master observes that this can inspire humility in some, but provoke escapism or arrogance in others.
He warns that arrogance is a self-destructive vexation, using Zhuge Liang's story as a cautionary example. How do social labels and praise feed into this danger, even among well-intentioned practitioners?
Social labels, like geniuses or hero, can inflate self-importance. The master points out that these are constructed identities, often reinforced by those closest to us. Without vigilance, praise becomes intoxicating, leading us to overvalue our achievements and overlook our flaws, ultimately hindering spiritual growth.
So, what strategies does the master recommend to counteract arrogance and the subtle traps of labeling?
He suggests a threefold approach. First, humbly acknowledge one's limitations. Second, wish for others to reach their fullest potential. Third, continually aspire to improve oneself. This mindset transforms praise into motivation, not complacency, and guards against the pitfalls of pride.
To wrap up, the master emphasizes that vexations are essentially empty labels conditioned by habit. How can we actually practice seeing through these labels in our daily lives?
The key is mindfulness. When a strong judgment or emotional label arises, like irritation at a colleague or craving for a treat, pause and recognize this is just a conditioned response. By not feeding it with further thoughts or actions, we weaken its hold, much like letting a sticker peel off naturally.
That's a practical metaphor. Are there any studies or psychological findings that support this method of disengaging from habitual labels?
Absolutely. Cognitive behavioral research shows that observing thoughts without reacting reduces their impact, a process known as cognitive diffusion. Over time, this rewires our habitual patterns, making us less reactive and more resilient, echoing the master's teaching on transforming old habits.
So, by consistently applying this practice, could we say we're actually cultivating the bodhicitta qualities the master describes?
Precisely. Each time we recognize and release a label, we nurture clarity, stability, and compassion, the core powers of bodhicitta. In this way, everyday challenges become opportunities for profound transformation, aligning our lives with the master's timeless guidance.